What is the best setup for video interviews? There are three main components. The first is you and your background. The second is the equipment that you're using. And third is what should actually be on your computer screen. I'll explain all three of those things and answer common questions like, should I have notes up on my screen during my interview? Due to COVID-19, most companies have shifted all of their interviews to virtual interviews only. These interviews should be treated much differently than in-person interviews, and the key to passing video interviews is all in the setup. And the first component to a good video interview setup is you and your background. So make sure that you dress the part, at least from the top up, and check in with your recruiter to make sure what dress code is appropriate. Next, be very mindful of your surroundings. Make sure you won't do the interview in a place that's too loud or in a place where there will be lots of distractions, like potentially your children running in and out of the room, asking you questions, or any interruptions. Also, make sure you tidy up your background. You don't want your interviewer seeing that picture of you taking shots with your friends in Mexico, or maybe even your messy bed. And lastly, make sure you double check your lighting. Don't set your camera up in front of a really bright light or a window, and make sure that your face isn't too dark. A quick pro tip, I have learned that taking interviews inside your closet is actually really good for sound or noise cancellation and has really good acoustics. Now let's talk about the second component of your setup, which is your equipment. Make sure you're setting up your computer or laptop so the camera is eye level with you, and make sure you have a really good set of headphones with a microphone. The microphone is the most important part. Make sure that the microphone does a good job of picking up your voice and not too much background or ambient noise. And this next tip is really important when it comes to technology. Make sure you're very comfortable using the technology or the video application before your interview. For example, if it's your first Zoom interview, you're going to need to download the Zoom app, create an account, and make sure you know how to log in and set everything up on time. You don't want to be late for your interview because you had technical difficulties or you didn't set something up. Also, make sure you test your internet connection from exactly where you'll be taking your interview, in your house or in your car or wherever it may be. You don't want your interview to be cut off short due to a poor internet connection. And make sure you keep a glass of water nearby so your throat doesn't get too dry from all the talking. Another pro tip, you can actually stall for a little bit by saying you need to take a drink of water before answering the question if you need some time to think. And now the third component that we need to talk about is what should actually be on your computer screen during the interview. In a perfect world, it would just be your interviewer's face and video up on your screen and nothing else. But I know we should probably address some really common questions that I always get, like should I or can I have my notes up on my screen during the interview? My general recommendation to this is always no. You may think that the interviewer doesn't know that you have notes, but there are some ways that they can actually tell. Let me explain. First of all, if you're switching between applications or you're switching from your notes back to the video, back to your notes, the screen will light up and change colors on your face. And also, if you're someone who wears glasses, the reflection will be very obvious. So now you're probably thinking, well, that's not a problem. I'll just leave my notes up the entire time. I don't need to see what the other person looks like. The problem with this is you won't be able to read their body language or get any visual cues if they want you to pause when you're talking, or if they want you to elaborate, or if you can tell from their facial expressions if your interview is not going well or they want you to keep talking. And also, if there's any dialogue, you won't be able to tell when that person is going to be finishing their sentence, so things can be kind of awkward if you keep talking over each other. And if you have a literal script right in front of you during the interview, even if you don't move your head or neck, they will be able to see your eyes shifting from left to right as you keep reading. Okay, I won't have notes up on the screen, but what about a notepad? Can I have a notepad up next to me? I do think a notepad is okay. You can keep it right next to your computer. That way you can take a quick glance at it between your interview questions. But if you're only doing a quick glance, I really don't think it'll help you a whole lot. Now, if you really do need some type of notes or cue cards, I have seen something that works really, really well where you take a relatively small post-it note and you put it right below your camera, so that way it kind of appears like you're making really good eye contact, but you also have some notes or cues that you can read off during your questions or to help refresh your memory between questions or interviewers. All right, so that covers our tips and tricks for the best virtual or video interview setup. Let us know down in the comments below if there are any questions that we didn't answer, or if there are any other tips or tricks that you've picked up that the rest of our community could learn from. Now, we also wanted to let you know that we have a LinkedIn and Facebook community where we post smaller tips and tricks and interesting articles that can help you in your career. This is also a really safe community and space for you to ask questions, network, and just get general advice from the rest of the CareerShakers family. Really appreciate you watching the video this far. Please click subscribe if you want to pass your next interview, find your dream job, or get promoted. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.